G'day viewers, Retro Man here. Today I will be discussing the last great Bruce Willis film. Stay tuned for more.
Coming to you from a basement studio somewhere down under, it's the 80s Show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man discusses and unboxes the last great Bruce Willis film. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man!
G'day viewers, Retro Man here and welcome to the 80s Show. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard the sad news about Bruce Willis and his debilitating health issues. And guys, I've been a fan of Bruce since the 80s. I loved him on Moonlighting. That's when I first discovered him. And he simply just radiated a certain charisma that a lot of actors don't have. And it was really lightning in a bottle, that TV series. Him and Sybil Shepherd played off each other so well, and I instantly became a big fan of Bruce. Die Hard shortly followed after that, the original, and that was a blow you away film in the late 80s there. If you saw that in the cinema, you simply never forgot it.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay! You hang in there. Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Now, I've been thinking a lot about Bruce, and he's had about 30 or so movies out in the last few years, and there's still more to come, as I understand it. They're still editing some now, and he's kind of been in a lot of subpar action films in the last few years as his health has been failing him. And I decided the other night to check out a couple on a streaming service, and I watched Fortress 1 and Fortress 2 back to back. And alongside Bruce, there was Jesse Metcalfe and also Chad Michael Murray. You've probably heard of those guys. They were sort of teen heartthrobs there for a while back in the 2000s. So Bruce has surrounded himself with some young actors, but the films have been disappointing. And this leads me to say, guys, today I will be discussing the last great Bruce Willis film. Now, I saw this film, the last great one, in the cinema, and it wasn't that too long ago. It was in 2018. And guess what, guys? I just realised that I didn't have what I consider the last great Bruce Willis film in my Blu-ray collection. So I decided to purchase it. Here it is right here. So this episode, in a way, is a little bit of an unboxing episode. But I will also talk about this great film. Now, let me just chop it open, guys. Let's get straight into it. There we have it. So this is the movie here, guys, Death Wish. Now, this came out in 2018. It was directed by Eli Roth. And it is actually a remake of that classic Charles Bronson film from the 70s. Bronson made a lot of sequels, and who knows if Bruce Willis, hadn't have been suffering these health issues, he might have even continued on with some more films in this franchise. That we will never know. But I consider this the last great Bruce Willis film.
Sway in the morning, Shade 4-5. We gotta talk about what's happening in Chicago.
Everybody's watching this viral video of this guy in the hoodie. They're calling him the Grim Reaper. He stopped a carjacking.
Is he right for taking the law into his own hands?
He's become a folk hero.
What about the shooter?
You look like a white dude.
Now, co-starring with Bruce in this film is Elizabeth Shue, who plays his wife, and also Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays Bruce's brother. These Death Wish films are a little bit bleak. They're vigilante films and they're quite confronting. But what can I say, guys? Bruce Willis was perfectly suited for this style of film. So yeah, I must say, guys, that this film newly went into production back in the mid-2000s with Sylvester Stallone in the starring role. And Stallone actually wrote some of the script for the film back then that never materialised, and Stallone kind of perceived the remake as, very different once again. I mean, he perceived this guy as a police officer who doesn't use firearms, and he's been very successful as a police officer not using guns. But when something happens to his family, he obviously has to change his ways because he wants to get those that are responsible. So that would have been an interesting take on it, Sly's version. And as we know, guys, around that time Sly ended up doing Rocky Balboa and that Rambo comeback film. But Sly almost just prior to the Expendables got involved in the Death Wish remake as well, around 2009. So in the end, when they went into production, of course we got Bruce Willis, but at one point there they were looking at Russell Crowe, I've heard, and he would have been an interesting choice actually. And I've also heard other names like Liam Neeson. I mean, Liam Neeson after those Taken films, he would have been perfect for this remake as well. And I've also heard that they threw around Will Smith's name and even Matt Damon, who was very successful in those Bourne films. But Eli Roth really wanted to make this with Bruce Willis, and as you know, Eli Roth is a bit of a friend of Tarantino's, and of course Bruce Willis was in that classic Tarantino film Pulp Fiction. Wasn't he great in that? So it all comes together, guys. I mean, Bruce was a great choice for this, and what can I say? This is his last great film. So there we have it, Bruce Willis in Death Wish.
I love my family. But when they needed me most,
911, what is your emergency?
There's men, they're breaking into my house. I think they're here. No.
I failed to protect them.
Dad, where's Mom?
The men who did it are out there. So there's nothing that you can do? Is that what you're saying?
If a man really wants to protect what's his,
I want to buy a gun.
he has to do it for himself.
Anyway, this is the Blu-ray Death Wish. This is the Australian print on Blu-ray. And what can I say? Let's take this wrapping off and check it out. So this is the cover, guys. Bruce Willis, Death Wish. How far would you go to protect your family? We've got a great shot of Bruce there, bit almost silhouette-y on the side, black and white really, and it's rated R for high impact violence. Yes, as I said, this is a pretty gritty and confronting film. I'll flip it over to the back, and it's got another tagline here which says, "They came for his family, now he's coming for them." And there's also a critic's comment here which says, "Solid action fare." And we've got a shot of Bruce and Elizabeth Shue on the back. And unfortunately, I don't think that there's any extras on this one, but there's a shot there of Bruce Willis kind of play acting with his finger there, which is a little bit like the finale with Bronson. You know, he's going like that with his finger like he has a gun in his hand. So that's a good little shot on the back there. So anyway, I'll get this wrapping off. I'm not sure whether this is, you know, a double-sided sleeve. I don't think it is, but we'll take it off and have a look. And yes, it's just a pretty standard looking disc there. There's no photo on the disc. The sleeve isn't double-sided. And I think they could have maybe done a little bit more with this artwork. But nevertheless, guys, I mean, that is Bruce in, you know, action mode. I mean, he's pretty serious in this film, and man, I think still the cover suits what you get. So this is Death Wish on Blu-ray. So there we have it, guys. Death Wish starring Bruce Willis on Blu-ray, and I consider this one to be the last great Bruce Willis film. I mean, he was still in form here. This is an A-list production. This is a gritty crime thriller, and I'm sure if you haven't seen it, check it out, guys, and you'll realise that Bruce a few years ago still had it. He still had what it took to make an A-list action film, and I saw this in the cinema and I quite enjoyed it. And really, when you think of those Bronson films, I mean, he ended up making 5 of them, and you know, I think the original of those Bronson films is the best, and I think this remake can sit proudly just behind that. I mean, some people at the time had a few issues with the way guns were depicted in this film, and you know, the firearm issue. But guys, if you just want to watch an action movie starring Bruce Willis at the end of his career, this is the one to check out. So anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure talking about Death Wish, and when I heard this sad news about Bruce, I did a video, a career retrospective on his 80s work about 12 months ago, and if you haven't seen it, guys, please check it out. I go through the original Die Hard and Blind Date, that great comedy he did in the 80s with Kim Basinger, and I also talk about the Moonlighting TV series. So if you'd like a bit of a retrospective on Bruce's 80s work, definitely check out that video I did a while back. And in fact, I might check it out myself. It was a lot of fun doing that video, and it was a lot of fun talking about Bruce once again. And yeah, this film needs to get a little bit more respect. So Bruce Willis, it's really sad that he's retired from films. But if you've seen Death Wish, guys, please tell me what you think of it in the comments below. Do you think this is Bruce Willis's last great action film? I mean, I think it is. I think it's his last great film. So, yeah, interesting stuff, and definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. Anyway, guys, like always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and keep watching the 80s show, because I will be back with something new very soon. But until then, this is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and just as cheeky as Charlie Bronson.
And I've just realised, guys, I still have this packaging, so let's get rid of that. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon.
Please subscribe, and good night, viewers.